I'm here to tell you a little bit about the few things that you should watch out for as the biggest global climate gathering takes place in Dubai from the 30th of November until the 12th of December. First of all, we have the Loss and Damage Fund. This was announced last year at COP27. It was hailed by many as a success.
It's being called a breakthrough for poorer countries. After 2 weeks of talks, nearly 200 nations agreed to establish a fund to compensate those most at risk from climate change.
It is a huge achievement to get an agreement to establish a loss and damage fund after 30 years of small island states, vulnerable countries, developing countries, trying to get this on the agenda.
Many called smoke and mirrors. This was because as much as it was the first time that a loss and damage fund was announced at COP, the fund also failed to mention many details around it, such as who qualifies for the fund, which countries are to donate towards the fund, and what exactly is loss and damage. What defines it so that this can determine how countries and which countries can claim from the fund. Another key issue to watch out for this COP28 is climate financing. In 2009, global North countries committed $100 billion per year to global South countries, those who bear the greatest brunt of climate crisis effects.
9 out of the 10 most vulnerable nations in the world happen to be in Africa, a continent which only itself contributed less than 3% of greenhouse gas emissions. So the story is very simple. Africa didn't cause the climate crisis, but it's suffering from it. So there's a profound moral injustice in the system. So African leaders have said last year during the previous climate summit in Glasgow, enough is enough. Money has to flow to the continent to address this injustice.
Unfortunately, global North countries failed to meet these commitments and have left global South countries to fend for themselves when it comes to worsening climate crisis effects. As COP28 approaches, global South countries are putting climate finance back on the negotiating table. A third key issue to watch out for are the Just Energy Transition Partnerships. This was a mechanism put in place about 2 years ago to ensure that climate change mitigation goals are met by moving away from fossil fuel energy reliance towards renewable energy sources. 2 years ago, at COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland, it was announced that South Africa would be amongst the first to benefit from a Just Energy Transition Partnership.
South Africa needs 98 billion euros to transition away from a coal-based economy towards a dependence on renewable energies. But the country has only been pledged a fraction of that funding. Last year, the International Partnership Group, consisting of the US, UK, EU, Germany and France, promised to grant 8.5 billion euros worth of loans to South Africa over the next 5 years.
Fourth on the list of factors to watch out for at this COP28 is the global stocktake. COP28 will be the first time where a global stocktake report is being released. Basically, this is checking up on progress made to reduce global greenhouse gas emissions to ensure that we are still aligned with the Paris Agreement. Last but definitely not least, in terms of key issues to watch out for at these climate negotiations are early warning systems. Early warning systems have proven to save millions of lives, particularly for countries around the globe who face loss and damage as a result of the climate crisis. Important to watch at this COP28 will be how countries come together to set ambitious early warning systems in place, as well as how much money they can commit to climate vulnerable countries to ensure that they too can implement these systems.